Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Welcome to another very special edition of Trends in the Housing Market. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight and making this possible. Also, Trends in the Housing Market, lot to catch up on, guys. Been very busy. I went to pick up the family today, which is really good, so... Anyways, broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia. Oh yeah, Merritt, British Columbia. Broadcasting to the Commonwealth. Starting in Auckland, New Zealand, across the pond to Sydney, up to Melbourne, across to Perth, northwest to London, and up to Dublin, then Belfast, then across to Edinburgh, then across the pond again to Toronto, and then across the country to Vancouver, Merritt, and then down to California, across to Miami, and north to New York, and then back to Toronto. It is Trends in the Housing Market, covering the entire Commonwealth in the same housing issue patterns, and I've been saying it for many years, happening across the Commonwealth. So anyways, guys, thanks for joining me for a very special early edition of Trends in the Housing Market. Now, before we kick off tonight's top stories, we got also some channel news here. Guys, don't forget to check out the channel. Guys, don't forget to check out I've Been Subpoenaed, or what do you call that? Ceased and Desist. You got to see this cease and desist video if you haven't seen it yet. It's really good. Some guy's been harassing me in town since I've opened my business, and then now he wants me to cease and desist. Woo! Anyways, guys, Trends in the Housing Market tonight. So what do we got here for shows that I did in housing? Guys, don't forget to check us out in the mornings for Can't Read Market Talk. Really good show. What do we got here for housing? Oh, we got quite a few. You pay till you die mortgages, small town living getting expensive, Canadian housing disaster, debts in the air, free Tesla when you buy a townhome, liberal housing plan, first time buyers, Toronto housing ripoff, Auckland housing ripoff, Sydney housing ripoff are doing really well, and Toronto ripoff. Yeah, I love this ripoff series. I like to compare like half of what they're paying for a house in Toronto, so like $1 million, take that, use 500 of it instead of the million, and see the palace you could buy somewhere else. Woo! Anyways, guys, let's move on. Don't forget to support this transmission on Patreon. $1 a month supports this transmission. I got 16 Patreon supporters. I'm also on Instagram if you guys want to follow me. It's called Mike Martins Official. And don't forget to check me out on The Dirty, guys. I officially hit a record on The Dirty. I am at 107 comments, guys. It is unbelievable. Like Janet Jackson, the Kardashians, nobody has 107 comments. Come and check it out, guys. It's really good. The Dirty, Mike Martins. And anyways, I wanted to throw this article up there today. I wanted to throw this one up first. And it's a good one. It's a very good one. Dublin is changing and the locals hate it. Well, Vancouver changed, the locals hate it. Toronto changed, the locals hate it. Anywhere where you get floods of money coming in your free market, the locals hate it. And it's not that the locals hate change, it's the locals have built the infrastructure for the way of life they've decided to live in those areas or those countries. The Raven in the house. So Dublin is changing and the locals hate it. Recent loss of popular murals and local pubs is fueling deeper angst over mass tourism, redevelopment, and urban transformation in the Irish capitals. So you guys know that after Toronto was hit with the bidding wars, like the heavy bidding wars with foreign investors, and then they put the taxes in and all that stuff, guess what happened? Everyone, for some bizarro reason, went to Dublin, Ireland a year and a half ago. And they priced up those houses from 170,000 euros to 300,000-400,000 euros. with the size of Dublin and the population, there's over like 11,000 people sleeping rough right now, and 3,100 are children. And that's the problem, guys. So Dublin is changing and locals hate it. Dubliners are saying goodbye to David Attenborough. A giant mural celebrating the naturalist from 93rd birthday appeared on the streets of Irish capital this summer. Staring out from the windowless wall of the Georgian row house, the murals was well received, but now the city council insists the artwork approved by the building's owner was unauthorized and must come down. You see, this is what's happening. There's too much poverty there, too much changes there, and there's a lot of people pulling the strings on these councils that are getting from people, you know, and it's happened. Dublin is changing and locals hate it. I've heard of people saying Vancouver's changing and locals hear it. Locals hate it. Toronto's changing and locals hear it. Locals hate it. Seattle's changing and locals hate it. California's changing and locals hate it. Everything's changing right now. Remember, guys, free market. Come in, buy our houses, leave us homeless, buy us out, because that's gonna be the future, right? Okay, we got comments here. Freedom Prospector says, I hear word of liberals charging capital gains housing sales if real. Okay, guys, that's in the air right now. But usually when something gets proposed, or talked about, it's brought to the table, and then eventually it gets relooked at over and over, and then it becomes approved. So whenever they say, I hear that they might start charging capital gains on houses if they sell, that means it's just going to happen. If you hear, I heard that you're going to get 10% back from the government when you sell your house for free for selling it to a foreign investor, you get $10,000 back on top of your house sale. That's not going to happen. Anything that goes against the current the status, anything that goes that makes your life better is not going to happen. Okay, so anything you hear like charging capital gains on housing when they sell, of course, 1,000,000,000% they will, because it's been already issued, it's been discussed, and it's been brought to the table as an idea. So governments are going to have to find a way to start taxing, because they can't afford to keep the cities operating. They can't. It's physically impossible. They're not charging enough. Governments are not charging enough to basically they're not charging enough from what they're spending, and that's the surplus, and they have no surplus, you know. It's kind of like us, this generation. People are borrowing to meet consumption, right? Canadian mortgages are now so large, the benefit of low rates is minimal. Okay, guys, I put up a video. It's a long time ago now. It's a long time ago. It's a very important one, actually. It's way back here. It's like maybe 6 months ago. If we went to 0% interest rates, even if we went to negative interest rates, we're done. We still couldn't do it. I did a video here on what rates need to be at negative rates to keep up with the job environments, the minimum wage, the wages gained, average wage is gained. And I did a really important video, because what this video does is I did some math and getting different equations on how low interest rates need to go to actually be in line with pay, to be in line with what people. Let me see if I could find. There's a lot of rip-off videos here. I don't know how old this video goes way back, but it's a really good one. So many housing videos, guys. Here are short clip ones. Check them out. Oh, where'd it go? Did it take it down? Oh no. How low could we go? Look at the Sydney toxic housing wasteland. Homeless residents are employed and holding college degrees. There's so many videos here. I don't know how far back the video goes, but I did a video not too long ago discussing how what rates need to be at each country. And Australia pretty much took the bag. They actually won this thing because they were just so, nothing added up. Jobs, their wages were too low. Nothing added up, right? So let's move on here, guys. All right. Hey, Mike, focus. Yo, I'm focusing, dog. Since Canada's lottery is tax-free. Good luck with that. Good luck winning it. Oh, yeah, Gary Medeiros. Woo! In the house. Okay, Canadian mortgages are now so large that the benefit of low rates has been... So, yeah, even I think Canada was at... If Canada needs to go to negative 3% on their rates for the average Canadian to be able... The average income, not minimum wage. Average income Canadian to get into the market. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. And Australia was like negative 9% it needs to go to for the average Australian to get into the market, into the housing market. Average wage, not minimum. So Canadian households are sending a lot more cash to lenders, but it's not paying down their debt. Statistics Canada data shows that household mortgage payments jumped in Q2 of 2019. Rising payments are seeing fewer dollars pay off debt and more towards carrying it. Canadians paid over $93 billion on mortgages Canadian real estate owners paid. Wow. Well, remember, guys, our governments are telling us that this generation is much more comfortable with debt compared to older generations. So they're trying to massage people into believing that debt's a good thing. Massage, it's good. You know what I'm saying? And people, and you know what's scary is that people are taking loans out for everything. I said this in the last video, the video before, and the one before that. They're taking out loans for a microwave oven, or they're putting it on credit, or they're taking out loans for a dishwasher. Don't pay a cent for a year. That's what's happening, and that's what's crippling, because no one's buying it on income, right? They're using their income to pay down debts. Woo! Coffee's good. Going into debt to live. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know, the people are going into debt to consume, and I think consuming is a must. You're going to need to eat sometime. Okay, Canadian households see borrowing rates fall to 14-month low. Remember, guys, they're running out of equity, and borrowing rates. Sorry. I covered this last night. It's right here. I covered it last night. It was really good video. I try to be as informative as possible to try and keep it... Hey, YouTubers, Mike Martin's here. There it is. Let's inject another $75 billion into the financial system. That's not good. And things are moving around. Things are being thrown around, if you want to put it that way. 14-month low. Canadian householders are getting access to cheaper credit after a brief rise in rates. Bank of Canada, BOC, data shows that the interest rate households paying fell in September. Borrowing rates have been falling since hitting a multi-year high earlier this year. Currently, they're still higher than we were during peak real estate growth. However, they are trending lower. Effective interest rate for households. The effective interest rate is weighed on average index of... So here's the deal with interest rates. Interest rates are crucial, okay? It's because it decides whether the housing market goes in a slump. It decides whether housing markets go into a mass sell-off. It decides where the gap is between... you start to see inflation starts to slow down when you start raising interest rates. It's a good thing to move. It's not to move around rates, but let rates kind of function on their own and leave them on autopilots. Because right now, a lot of people wouldn't be watching this show because they would have bought their first house long time ago. Because rates and incomes to percentages and everything would have been balanced. It would have been automatically balanced. But then we want to do first-time home buyer loans. We want to raise it to $800,000. It's disgusting, guys. It's disgusting what they're doing and keeping the interest rates artificially low. It's creating the speculative bubble after speculative bubbles after speculative bubble on another bubble. So we're on our fourth bubble right now, and the housing market got snuffed out, guys. The housing market got snuffed out, and that was the problem. And I got some show notes here of different topics here I want to talk about tonight. I actually took my time and take some notes for tonight's show, guys, so nobody panic, okay? Working on it's on the house. Yeah. Working on it. What do you mean by speculative bubble? Speculative bubble. On top of speculative bubble. And that's what we've been doing for the last, 8 years, 10 years now, since the 2010 Olympics. Here's the borrowing rates. Canadian household borrowing rate. Oh, yeah. Keep it going, baby. Woo. And the Canadian effective interest rate's trending lower. The rate is down to 2.89% from last year after rising it 14.1% from the year before. The effective rates are still 13.1% higher than 2 years ago. But once again, they've been trending lower. Lender competition must be fierce for the relatively low amount of borrower demand. The problem with this is they have to lower rates so that, because the stress test won't allow people to get mortgages or loans or whatever, because they won't fit. They don't make enough money. The problem is, stop messing around with interest rates, stop messing around with people's futures, and actually start paying people more money so then they just can get into these markets, and then this will create a positive effect where you start to see things grow and you start to see people spend back into the economy. You start to see people actually building their first starter homes with a little bit of land instead of having to do it, Working on this is, do you think interest rates should be higher? Yes, they have to. They're too low. They've been historically too low, and the housing market's been snuffed out by low interest rates. Back in the day, the average Joe Donuts, the average guy that worked in the factory, took his hard hat to work, took his lunchbox with the thermos inside. He didn't care what the bank was doing. He didn't care what Wall Street was doing. He didn't care what he did. You know why? Because all he did was he owned his house. He paid it off in 5-6 years, had his car. He did not care. He did not care what was happening with the banking and all the systems. You know what I'm saying? Now, everybody cares what's happening now, because now this bubble that we've created, this artificial speculative bubble we've created, has now entered the housing markets all over the Commonwealth. Before, it was just the banks, the banking sectors will get hit, the insurance companies, houses would go up and down, This is historically happening. It's never happened before like this. Ever. Not to these proportions. We've never had to create first-time buyer loans because the housing market crashed and then people could get back into the market. We never did this stuff before. We never did interest-only mortgages because it's so dangerous. There you go. Freedom Prospector said it in the best words. The biggest bubble ever. This is the first time where we manipulated everything humanly possible to keep this crap going. People are going to suddenly get paid more. It won't happen. Minimum wage is too high here in Alberta. No, I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm not talking about raising minimum wage. I'm talking about people on the average wage, the middle class, the people. You see, minimum wage is, for me, I'm in high school, I'm in grade 11, it's summertime, I'm going to go work at McDonald's and save my money to buy a hot rod for September when school starts, so I'll have my first car. That's what minimum wage is, okay? That's what minimum wage is all the time. Working on it, we talked about it. Working on it, we talked about this. Do you remember in high school when our teachers used to say to us, do you want to flip hamburgers all your life? Well, now it's a career. We've been massaged into believing that minimum wage jobs are careers. Because what? 70% of the jobs out there are all minimum wage, and the real wage paying jobs, okay, that's non-public sector, right? I couldn't care less about the public sector jobs. Private sector is where it's at. Private sector supports the public sector, right? So that's what I'm trying to say, right? So average wage Canadians should make enough to get into a house of their choice within their income bracket. It needs to be broken down. So it's not that it's fair. I'm not trying to say this is not fair. This is not fair. I'm not saying that. All I'm asking is that a good transparency of what's really going on. How much money is being laundered in this damn country? Apparently $200 billion through real estate. When you introduce foreign money into an economy that can't handle that much money, it's over. Do you understand? I'm not asking, oh, this is not fair. I think we should get free housing for people. No, I'm talking about a doctor and a school teacher live together and then they have to rent a one bedroom because according to Vancouver, $3,100 a month is considered affordable rent. That's what I'm talking about, folks. I'm not out there parading for free housing. I'm not out there parading for low-income housing. You know how I feel about low-income housing. I feel better paying jobs equal better opportunity to pick the house you want to buy. Not this Mickey Mouse low-income housing. People work, they want to strive to what they want to get and not just have to take a pick of what's available in their level or their little class that they're creating. Emma Murdy saying that middle class is disappearing. No, you see, lower scratch is saying people want higher wages with less work efforts. I get that. But the people with less work effort dream to have a house one day. Dream to have their car or dream or hopefully. No, there's people like myself, The Raven, Steve the Plumber, Gary Medeiros. There's people like us, like Emma Murdy. Same thing like working on it. We want to do our work. We want to work. We want to put in our time. We really want to get out there and make a difference. But we also want the gratitude. We want the gratitude to be able to live in a normal functioning society. Not to decide, should I buy eggs today? Or if I buy eggs, I can't afford to get my son's school pictures done. Or if I buy this, why are we in these positions for? Why are we even working then? Listen to me, I say. It's not easy out there. Either they give us higher wages or they let the economy crash. They can't have both. They've been having both for so long. Okay? The amount of corruption and someone sent me an article here. The amount of corruption. There are over 60 homeless in London, Ontario. Okay, I'll take a look at that in a sec. But I wanted to throw this out there because it's a bunch of... No, see, working on it, it's not about living in it's about living. You want to live where you want to live, okay? And if you're working, you're putting your time in, you're working hard, you're skilled, you know what you're doing, and what? And all you make is just to get by on rent in some crummy apartment? It never happened like this before. All right. I covered this the other day too on my channel. Don't pay till you'll die. Reverse mortgages are booming in Canada. You could pay for property taxes with Bitcoin in some places. Many Canadians would be left out of the Liberal home buyer proposal. Canadians, you see? Not home buyers. Canadians will be left out. the people that supported this infrastructure, that built this infrastructure, the parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents came to this country to build these highways, to build all this. And guess what? They're left out. $26 Gunter saying it's intentional. Yeah, Low Scratcher said it perfectly. 60-hour week. What's the point working if you can't afford rent? What's the point? What are you working for? I'm not saying don't go to work. I'm saying, like, what do they think they're going to do? They want to keep us on the treadmill. That's fine. But they want to prop the economy still. Leave the economy on autopilot. I'm not even asking to change anything. Leave it on autopilot and you'll see it crash. Stop the first time home buyer crap. Stop the interest only mortgages. Stop this bull crap of bringing in casino money through our casinos and bringing billions of dollars, and stop competing in rich investors that's going to destroy our country. I don't think John F. Kennedy could have said that any better. Trudeau promises new speculation tax on foreign buyers if re-elected. You shouldn't have let... So... The problem is... I keep saying we should have a mirrored immigration system. It's very simple. It's not racist, it's fair, and it's transparent. A mirrored immigration system is simple. I made this up years ago, and I kind of elaborate on it over time. What it means is I want to immigrate to Mexico. Okay? And it's like, okay, now, let's look at Mexico, what they offer Canadians. Okay, Canadians are not allowed to buy real estate in Mexico. Okay, now, Mexicans shouldn't be allowed to buy real estate in Canada. Canadians are allowed to stay 3 months maximum. Canada, in return, Mexicans are only allowed to stay 3 months in Canada. And then in Mexico, what else? There's the laws there. I lived in Mexico for 2 years. Canadians are not allowed to buy a one-way ticket to Mexico. You can't buy a one-way ticket to go to Mexico. You have to buy a return when you buy your ticket. You can't buy a one-way ticket. Mexicans have to buy a two-way ticket when they come to Canada. So this way, like, is a Canadian allowed to open a bank account in Banamex, Bank of Mexico? No, they're not allowed. So a Mexican should not be able to be allowed to open. Do you know if I got caught working illegally in Mexico? Do you know what would happen if I got caught working illegally in Mexico? They'll actually detain me in a prison. And it takes up to 3 months to see a lawyer for a deportation hearing. So you see what I'm saying with this? No way, Mickey Mouse. Someone saying, I believe that silver and gold crypto is the brilliant idea. Now let's face reality. You will be allowed to use their central bank crypto. Any other currencies you could get 30 years. Yeah, I heard that. Mickey Mouse says, I just got denied 440 mortgage with 100K down. Yeah. Brianna, I got denied. I was going to buy a building for my store here in Merritt. I was $30,000 short to buy the building. I had the rest of the money ready to go. Like cash. No mortgage, nothing. All I needed was them to give me a mortgage on my house that's free and clear. And I would pay it back in 2 years. In full. And I get my store. Right? Because I already paid off the whole. I only need 30 grand. The bank said no. Because one, I'm business for self. And in Canada, if you're business for self, you're garbage. You're 100% garbage. Realtor groups call on federal parties to ease mortgage rules. 6 things to know about Trudeau's first-time homebuyer incentive. Homeownership party ultimately comes to an end. In some battleground riding, renters spend 50% or more on income on housing. Battlegrounds means Toronto and Vancouver. And don't be fooled when they say Toronto, Vancouver. No. It's West Vancouver, East Vancouver, Richmond, Vancouver proper, Burnaby, Surrey, Abbotsford, Maple Ridge, Coquitlam, all the way to Hope. That is Vancouver. Okay? What they mean here. Not just the municipality, all the lower mainland. And when they say Toronto, they mean Toronto, Brampton, Oakville, Mississauga, Scarborough, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, London, Ontario, Windsor, Ontario. That's Toronto. Everything's getting expensive. Those two regions I just spoke about are like the most of Canada's population right there. Pickering, Ajax, yeah. The Raven says he has a half ton of silver. Woo! Working on it, saying, I've always wanted to be a mortgage broker. A friend of mine makes 6 figures at it. What do you think? It's up to you. Remember, you got to file your own taxes if you're doing your own brokeraging, right? You got to file your own taxes and don't cheat on them because they do an audit on you. Norman says, I have 500 ounces of silver. Yeah, I have less than that. I have 400 ounces of silver. Yeah, Richa Creador da Silva saying, Google houses are so unaffordable. People are living in sewer pipes. It's in the news article. Okay, we'll get there. So, it's some battleground ridings, renters percent of their income on housing. It's over. In the States, you see, in America, they're very lucky in America because they have a lot of cities to move to. If you're in Philadelphia and your rent is taking up 50% of your income, you know what most people do? They go to Louisiana. They go to Jackson, Mississippi. They go to Austin, Texas. They go anywhere else and make it happen. In Canada, we got 2-3 cities and you're finished when you gotta relocate. You're done. And you're 600-700 miles away from each city. You're not like between like Fort Worth, Texas, and Katy, Texas, or Brownsville, Texas, and Houston, like those kind of distances. You're far. Woo! Oh, we got Lord Humongous. The Raven saying it's bad that the government will eventually make my silver illegal. Well, they're gonna have to make it illegal. They're gonna have to do it in a way because they don't want to leave this economy on autopilot. And it's all because of the corruption. Countries right now are so crushed that I call it, you know what I've been calling it? The feudal skyscraper age. We're back to feudalism in a way, but in skyscrapers. The skyscraper dark ages we're in right now. And we need to find more positive ways to create output. That's our problem. And that could help grow our GDP and help transfer wealth. And that's not happening right now. Gunter, you are going good. Keep it up. Red Pill Millennial in the house. Briggs in the house. Woo! Merkel's passing gold laws. Yes, she is. I got that message like 3 o'clock in the morning. Where were we here? Past that. Okay. Okay, guys. I'm going to be as calm and as transparent as possible for this article. I'm going to be as calm as I can. because this one is really... I was really mad earlier. You guys heard me. I was pretty teed off earlier. If you haven't seen the beginning of this show, maybe scroll back to the beginning. You'll see what I'm talking about. I was really peed off, and I have every reason to be peed off. Now, this one right here is... I'm just trying to think of a way to paraphrase it. Kind of like Family Guy paraphrases their stuff with little automation clips or little clips of video. How do I paraphrase this? Do you guys remember 2 years ago when I read the article to you guys that in Sydney, Australia, they were building skyscrapers and they were only dedicated to hospital workers, surgeons, radiologists, specialists that work with the public sector, health sector, right? Do you guys remember that? It was 2 years ago. It was a long time. But guess what they're doing guess what they're doing here in Toronto? Hospital network sets aside 10 million parcel of land for affordable housing. Hospital network. University Health's network initiative directly answers needs of low-income patients. Okay, it's for low-income patients. Okay. Parkdale Affordable Housing Project, which is direct response to needs to low-income patients. Okay, this is okay. This is okay. I'm okay with this. I thought they're building land aside for hospital workers and surgeons and doctors because they can't afford to buy into the market because they can't. Like legitimately buy in without saying that they haven't been hurt financially or either emotionally or what. Stevie Stevens is saying, strength in numbers, people are the majority and need to follow these stupid laws, but everyone needs to be on code. Yeah, terminally sick. Yeah, it's probably for Planet of Care, terminally sick. Trump's in California checking out the wall, addressed the homeless crisis in Los Angeles. I got it right here. I'm coming up to it right now. All right, let's move on. Seattle building more new apartments than New York City. And do you know how many apartments are vacant in the Seattle King County area? Do you know how many vacant apartments and houses they have there? So let me just tell you, I read the article that Seattle is the new Vancouver, because what happened was in 2017, I even read the article, it's on my channel, Vancouver implemented the foreign buyers tax, and then it got divided into two. Half the people went to Seattle, south, and the other half went to Toronto. And it's gotten so bad that they're sitting at around about 58,000 empty units right now. In the King County area, almost 60,000 empty units, and they're empty. They're just Chinese owned, Chinese investment owned, and Chinese investors owned, if you want it, or speculators, Chinese speculators owned. Not Vietnamese, not Korean, not Portuguese, not French. So everyone's saying I keep picking on the Chinese. I'm like, no. If this was the French doing it, I'd be very clear about who is doing it. If it was the Portuguese, I would say it was the Portuguese. But it was Chinese speculators that went through and kind of did it. Like right here. See? San Jose, San Francisco, San Diego, Oregon. They were all hit with the same foreign investing. The whole West Coast is the gateway to Asia, right? Bernard Sanders, Housing for All plan aimed to add millions of homes and rent cap. Let's say this guy could pull this off. The reason why I pulled this article off, I know he's full of crap, right? And there's that Singh guy. The Singh guy, I think he's from the NDP in Canada, who's running for Prime Minister, saying he's going to put 500,000 homes in Canada. Kiwi Build in New Zealand with Phil Tyford tried to get Kiwi Build to work to do 100,000 homes. They didn't even build, I think it was nine homes? 12 homes? What was it, 90 homes? 90, was it 100 at least? For affordable housing? Did they reach 90 homes? So let's say he could pull this off. Canada's in big trouble. The second, let's say they could throw and put a rent cap and then build, let's say 1 million, 2 million homes. Let's say, argumentatively, we could pull this off. Spend some federal spending, take it away from the military-industrial complex and put it into housing. Let's say, Canada's finished. Because the price of housing for a Canadian in the States is so cheap. For us to buy a house in an hour away from Vancouver is going to cost us $800,000. For us to buy a house 10 minutes outside of Miami, downtown Miami, would cost us like $260,000 in Canadian dollars. Okay? So that's the problem here. This is the problem we're facing here in Canada. If they could pull this off, we're toast. Canada is like rest in peace because no one's going to go into slavery. New York City was bankrupt, a murder-infested crap hole in the 70s. Giuliani turned it around with San Franciscans. Finally, get sick of it, will change. They just got gross progressive morons, so it will take a while. So yeah, it depends who's in there. It depends who's... Man... But if they could pull something like this, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying he's lying, okay? That's not the point of me bringing this article up. If they can, Canada's finished. One, we're going to lose. Why do you think Canada never loses postal workers? The postal workers are smart. They're public sector. They work for the government. They get these fancy pensions and all this stuff. But postal workers could only go on strike during Christmas. So they could screw everybody's Christmas up because postal workers can't go to Minnesota or to New Orleans saying, I'm a postal worker and I'm experienced and I want to come and mail your mail here. People will be like, get the hell out of here. But when it's a surgeon or someone of a medicine background, it's like, yes, come. We'll even buy you a house. Did you hear about the doctors? They're offering Canadian doctors 2 years rent paid to be a doctor in some parts of the United States. They'll pay your rent for 2 years, so you could settle in, then save a pile of money, and then buy a house you want. Do you think if America gets desperate for our professionals and doctors, even Australia, you think people from Australia won't fly across the world to save to get themselves out of slavery? I don't get what he means by Club Med. Club Med is a music group. They have a song called Hands Up. They're called Club Med. Baby, hands up. Give me your heart. Give me your heart. Okay, what's going on here? Trump says California cities destroy themselves with homelessness. Of course. And you know why I'm really, really, really kind of against what's happening? One, a lot of these people were bought out. We know what's happening with the whole foreign investing and money laundering and all that other crap and shadow flipping. We get it. We know what's happening all along from Vancouver all the way down to the Tijuana border there in San Diego. It's been happening. Okay, we get that. But it's the people that have degrees and that hold a full-time job. And I saw a guy that has 2 part-time jobs and works street cleaning for the city. He gets paid like $4 an hour, and he works 2 full-time jobs, like legitimate 2 part-time jobs. Sorry, and the other guy works a full-time job, and he works. He's been working at the Home Depot for 11 years, and he's been homeless for 5. He can't afford a place. All right, let's see if the Raven, are you available tonight, buddy? Let's see if the Raven's here. He said he's going to come on the show. Raven. Raven. Raven? I can't hear him. I can't hear the Raven. I don't know why. I got a problem here with my computer, and every time it turns off for some reason, or every time I try to do something with it, the settings have to be readjusted every time, and it's a pain in the butt. So I got to go to my settings here. I got to go to audio, and then microphone. Yeah. Yeah. Speakers. Hey, Raven. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, buddy. Let me call him back. Because I have my audio. My speakers are right. Everything's going good. Yeah, audio works, so I got to hear him. The audio's working. All right, let's try this again. Let's see if this works, guys.
Hello, Mike.
Oh, yeah, I could hear you now, buddy. What's up?
Not much. Just cleaning up. Bought a go-kart today.
Okay, well, I have exactly one word to say to you. Woo!
$40 in the parking lot. The guy said, "You want to buy it?" Oh, it's a piece of junk. I got it going though.
Did you?
Took it up the back lane. Lots of fun.
Good. You bought a go-kart. Nice. You should drive it. Is it a big motor?
I think it's 160 cc. It's not a huge motor. It's like a lawnmower engine, a little bigger, Chinese motor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a piece.
Throw it out now.
No.
I'm just joking.
It's my get out of town in a hurry machine.
It is. I've seen that actually in a TV series. I think it was Adventures in Babysitting or something. Somebody used a go-kart to get out.
Yeah.
I think it was. I can't remember. It was a long time now. So you said, did you have someone you want to put on our show?
You know what? She's at home right now. She's not here, and she's not set up with Skype.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I could tell her to come here, and you could call back in 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's no big deal. I could call back. I'd like to have her on the show and get her an experienced real estate agent to give us a good throwdown on what's happening.
Yeah, she was going to come over. I was just talking to her. I'll get her to come over. She'll come over.
Okay, let me call you back. Let me get Supreme Cannon on.
Yeah, okay. Call me back in a minute. Skate. Bye.
Goodbye. Volume low, Mike. I'm not sure on the is it low on the Raven, guys? Volume low on the Raven. Now, let me check here, guys. Let me check for you guys here. Volume may be low on the Raven. Let me check here. No, it looks like it's okay. I think we're having audio issues with the thing. All right, let's see if I could get some audio thing here fixed. Is it my audio that's low, or is it the Raven's audio that's low, guys? Is it you guys can't hear the Raven? All right. Okay, let's call Supreme Cannon, see if he's okay. I hope he's okay. Let me find him here. Where are you, Supreme Cannon? Jeez Louise, there's so many people on here. I surpassed 1,000 people on Skype. Here he is. Where's Supreme? Supreme? It's like a nightclub. Well, I can't get a hold of Supreme either. Uh, 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 no problem. So Trump is saying, yeah, what do you think is going to happen with will Illinois become the next state to pass rent control laws? Oh, it's Supreme. Supreme,
On.
what's
Hello?
up, buddy?
Oh, this and that, you know. Things are normal here. I have no complaints at all.
Yeah, yeah. Before we kick off your rant, did you see that cease and desist that I received?
Yeah, you sent it to me. Yeah.
Isn't
Good
that
God.
cute?
Is that dude on crack or what? That's interesting.
He gets this guy. Listen, guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, get on my channel and go to cease and desist demand. So there's this guy in town that's been harassing me for years for opening a business that's similar to his. And he's been telling me off, making fake accounts, just doing everything under the sun to try to make my life miserable, right? And he sends me a cease and desist. But this guy walks in my store. I have him on camera. I have his perfect image and everything. Comes in and says, "Hi, I am here with the Crown Attorney, with the Commonwealth of British Columbia, within the magistrate of the courts. I hereby serve you."
Wow.
He takes
And-
my picture, and I'm like, okay. He takes my picture, and I'm like, okay, I need the stuff from the courts. There's supposed to be papers with this.
Yeah.
Oh, this
there's
is
no
what the
co-
courts
No
gave
court
me.
document there.
Huh?
No, there's no court document there. It's
No.
nothing. It's a handwritten letter.
The
Not
guy just went
handwritten,
and
but
wrote
typed.
then, cease and desist, get rid of your merit harassment series. You're referring to me even though you don't mention me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Like what was the point of that? Well, and the thing is, he also mentioned the all of those comments on the dirty and saying you're no, I'm not Steve the plumber, brother John. No, he was everything that's been going on for the last few months. He's saying that you're making it all up to defame him, basically.
Yeah. So
That's my sense of it. Yeah.
I don't understand. So yeah. Anyways, I just kind of want to throw that out there. The cease and desist.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. So in the housing markets, more important discussion here. It's happening, and of all cities, Dublin is changing, and locals hate it. Now, how many times have you heard Supreme? Toronto's changing, and I hate it. Vancouver's changing, and I hate it. And this, and I hate it. Everywhere is changing, and people hate it. Go ahead and take the floor and tell me what you think about that.
Well, some of it is financial, obviously, economic. A lot of it it's my theories about why suddenly we need anywhere from 300,000 to unofficially 1 million new people in Canada every year. It's probably similar to the American experience, where it's just to influence the electorate and make one party or the other a permanent majority, to crowd out the people who actually built the cities and have lived there for several generations. It's liquefying social cohesion. That's a $20 way of saying it's just messing up the neighborhoods to create strife and to just try to maintain some kind of an upper hand.
This crap started when the bidding war started taking place in 2018 in Dublin.
Yeah, and it was the same bidding wars that you saw, some of your early shows in Australia. You'd have 6 or 8 Asian buyers that would come over and bid up the price of real estate in the neighborhood. The problem with that, of course, is that the realtor is going to automatically be putting signs out saying just sold this property for 40 or 50 grand over asking. Well, that now raises the price of every other house in the neighborhood by 40 or 50 grand, obviously.
Right.
So you create a lot of phantom wealth. You create, people start seeing their assessments going up, 15, 20, 25% year over year. And they think, wow, we're booming. I saw the same thing starting from 2002 right up to 2008. My area here in the Shuswap, my assessment went up just about 30% year over year during that time. Mm-hmm. But it was phantom wealth. When I eventually moved up north, believe me, I didn't sell my place for 3 times what I I bought it for. It was an illusion.
Mhm.
But the problem is that what happens? It jacks up the prices, which is a signal for high demand. Right? The old
Mhm.
supply demand curve, when price goes up, well, that means that there isn't enough supply for the demand, right? That's usually what happens when you get high demand and limited supply, prices go up. So it was a false signal. When you had the price of everything in your neighborhood go up by 20% per year, wow, we're booming. So the next thing you know, you've got developers that are digging up cornfields and tearing down old neighborhoods and everything else to put up these condos and towers and apartments and everything else to capture these high prices that all this real estate's going for. The problem is, as soon as those overseas buyers stop coming and bidding up the price of everything,
Which has
then
happened at the
which
capital
has happened,
controls and the social credit scores.
yeah, and all that stuff, and ultimately, what you're going to have is capital repatriation back to China. A lot of these people are going to have to dump. They're already doing it with a lot of businesses that they bought here in the Western world, and they're having to sell them, and some of them at steep discounts. They were just trying to buy everything, so they're repatriating money back to China. So the last big hammer to drop, I think, will be this real estate they've already bought. They're going to have to start dumping it. They're going to get a certain amount of time where they have to
Well,
repatriate
the
the
problem
money.
with that is now I've been hearing through the grapevine a lot of real estate investors are getting mad that the local Canadian can't afford to buy their homes.
That's right. And the reason they can't afford to buy their homes is because the houses are they're too high. And when I say too high, I don't mean they can't afford it. I mean they shouldn't be that high.
Right?
When
No.
you have all these foreign buyers coming in and bid, and I mean it only takes 5 or 10% of the housing sales selling at that level, and all of a sudden everybody else is priced out of the market. So this stuff has to come back to where people can actually afford it again.
Yeah, people ask
And
me, Mike, when we're going to see a correction? Yeah, either you're going to make 80% more at work, or they're going to have to. Remember, did you hear my rant when I started my show?
yeah, I caught part of it. Yeah,
I was pretty pissed because
yeah,
people are they can't have us. It's not fair to have us impoverished in low wages and not making enough money to live. But then they want to keep the markets, the housing markets, and all these pent up economic bubbles going because then it's better for them. It's beneficial for the people up top. But then the
sure it
people at
is.
the bottom that are keeping that up top are just basically in slave mode, and it's creating a depression within people. Okay, it's not
Yeah,
creating a
definitely.
depression in wealth, but it's creating a depression in people, and it's creating toxic effects in the middle class.
Absolutely. It's creating all kinds of psychological problems, and it's creating a sense of hopelessness. And a lot of it is because a lot of these big cities, their city councils, I mean, they've got economic projections based on the amount all the property taxes they're going to collect from all these properties that went up in price over the last 7, 8 years. And now they're going to have enormous holes in their budget. So you're absolutely right when you say that taxes are going to go up anyway. The percentages, the mill rates that they charge for property, regardless of what
Well,
happens to the
governments are
price of property,
are
are
not
going to have to
taxing.
go up.
Governments are not taxing enough of what they're spending. Governments are spending more than what they're taxing. That's the
Yeah,
problem with our deficit right now.
yeah. But their debt services, they're using these projections of this higher revenue over the next however many years to service more debt so that they can spend more money on infrastructure and development and approving even more building permits, and so they can buy votes and all the rest of it. Yeah, I mean I see it. You know, the big city in between you and me is Kamloops. The place is insane. I went in there on a parts run this morning at 8:30, and as soon as I got into Valley View on the east side of town, it was bumper to bumper all the way to the top of the hill.
Hmm.
It was just absolutely insane. It wasn't like that 4 or 5 years ago. It's crazy.
Well, what happened was there was a mass movement of people that moved from Vancouver and
Yeah.
all the way up to Hope, moved up to Kamloops because they couldn't afford to live in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, yeah, I see new people jogging on the streets even in my little town that I don't remember from, say 4 or 5 years ago. In the morning I see people running and jogging around, and I see new faces. I mean, the place, there's not a whole lot of building going on around here, but there's definitely been some development and some for sale signs on bare land happening again, which hasn't happened for a while. So yeah, it's probably even making its way out as far as I am, which is about 35 minutes east of Kamloops. So,
Well,
but
what
yeah,
happened to
Kamloops
the
is nuts.
Well, what happened to most of the major cities in these Western countries, in my opinion? Why? It's not only that they've been bought out of homes and people are we've been bought out of our homes, but what makes it even worse is that we have been, how do you say it, deindustrialized, and this left millions of people unproductive. In different capacities. Now, when we became deindustrialized, it was hard enough, but housing was affordable at the time, right? But then now we've become deindustrialized, so we're not producing like we did, and we can't even afford our own damn homes anymore.
No, well, part of the problem is when all that industry, collapsed and disappeared. The airlock door opened up and sucked all the wind out of the manufacturing economy. Well, the main commodity being built after that was housing, and the money was try to get
loans and credit card debt,
and student loans and credit card debt, because
auto loans.
David is and HELOCs. The idea is, well, just keep that money pumping so that you can refinance your own debt. And you just had a segment here this week on reverse mortgages. Here we go again with reverse mortgages.
Yeah, I did it right here. Was the other day here. The reverse rest in peace mortgage, right? You don't pay till you die.
That's right. Yeah, those things make me mad. They really do make me angry. But basically, housing has become the heavy industry that used to be all these other things that we used to make.
Right.
It's just building houses to flip and sell to each other. Well, it blew up in 07, 08, and it's going to blow up again this time.
Yeah.
So the same result's going to happen. Now, this time when we have this massive deflation, collapsing of banks and everything else, are they going to be able to keep the taps open long enough and hard enough to keep, trillions of dollars from disappearing overnight like it did then? I'm guessing no. I'm thinking we're going to have a crash, and then they're going to do what they do. They've only got one solution. There's only one solution. Other than that, you got a mass debt jubilee, and just they got to write down all the debts. But that's effectively a currency devaluation. Right. We start taking on some of the. We really start taking on some of the aspects of the third world at that point.
Right.
Because that's not supposed to happen here in the Western world.
Okay, Supreme. I'm gonna let you go because I got the Raven's wife, ex-girlfriend or ex, is gonna come on, and she's a real estate agent. She's gonna give us a little bit of insight on what's happening on the ground.
Oh, excellent!
20 or 30 years experience.
Good deal.
Well, Supreme, hopefully I could see you on Mike in the Night.
Oh yeah, I'll be around. You might even see me on Saturday during the day if you're going to be at the store.
I'll be at the shop till 5.
Excellent. Yeah. I think I can get loose on next Saturday. I'll probably show up.
Come by before the weather gets turns, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it looks like it's happening fast now.
Okay, God bless you.
God bless, and talk to you all soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That's our friend there, the Supreme Cannon. So let's get the Raven on. Let me call him. And hello? How are you?
You ready? How are you doing?
I'm still here. Are you still I'm surprised you're awake. What time is it there?
It's not awake. I'm on holidays. 9:30 here.
Okay.
But,
all right.
I have Mrs. X.
Yes.
I'll just give you a rundown. I kind of keep some anonymity there. So she works for a real estate company. She's worked for all the big real estate companies in this city. She has 30 years experience, all different areas, from large builds, private builds, houses, all kinds. Worked with developers, sold tons of houses, 30 years, done it all. And here she is. Her name's Mrs. X.
All right.
Hi there.
Hi, Mrs. X. How goes it?
Good. I don't think I need to hold this to my head. It seems to be on intercom.
Yes.
No,
yeah, you can just hold it to your lips there. Or like, I usually hold it forward like this when I'm talking, so I don't hold it close to my head because the radiation's poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's happening on the ground? What have you seen, especially in the last? Well, you're in Manitoba, so what's happened in the last couple of years?
as far as trends, right? I
Yeah.
guess because I've never really heard this show too much. Not the trends in the market. I've heard, I guess, other days of the week. Yeah, Mike and the Night and those type, I guess. So
Mm-hmm.
trends in the market. Um, I would say there's a few, but let's just say that we're Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
So Winnipeg is a little different, although a lot of the little bedroom communities are performing similarly. They're also growing, and new development is big. New development is good. People like a nice new home. I would think that a trend would be we're kind of, we've always been and continue to be, probably always will be, a certain amount of years behind Vancouver. And so, that whole carriage house idea or the secondary unit,
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea that in your own home you have another home,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be rented out for income, or you could have family members. A lot of family want to be together again, because that used to be around a lot of years ago. The whole farm community did a lot of family together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I would say that would be the biggest thing. Very hot. People like to be centralish, but not the bad centralish, just, like St. Boniface is good.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of the areas that are just close to the central, but not the dangerous part, and downtown is big too. So
Now,
being not downtown, but in a neighborhood is good with, secondary suite.
are you seeing a lot of mass migrations from out of provincers moving there for affordability?
No, no, not at all. No,
Okay,
but we do
because
have
I'm seeing
people.
a lot of out of provincers going to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Prince Edward Island in big numbers, actually.
Yeah, you know what? That is not a thing. Mm-mm.
Wow.
We do have immigration, yeah, but people coming here because it's affordable again? No, nuh-uh. No
Wow.
way. But you would think, like, eventually, hey, why don't you come back home? Be here, live good. But I would say, and I don't hear anyone talk about that. No, not really. Mm-mm.
Okay,
But you would think, you're right. That makes sense.
yeah, because that's been happening like the entire lower mainland where I used to live in Vancouver. I had to move 2 hours away from the lower mainland because everybody moved. Like my block here of 13 or 12 homes in my cul-de-sac, 9 or 10 of them are from Vancouver.
That's what they say, right? I've heard that because,
Mm-hmm.
you hear about, like, you go to those conventions and hear and I've heard that, the Vancouver, too expensive. So everyone's moving a couple hours away. And yeah, but
Yeah.
that's just here.
Well, but because and I know that's what they're trying to sell in Vancouver. The same house in West Palm Beach is like 200 grand, and
Yep.
they're charging 1.2 million in Vancouver for the same house.
Yeah.
That's the scary
So,
part. That's what scares me. You don't get no bang for your buck. So
no, but
okay,
whoever wants to live there can live there. That's their thing, their gig. They want to pay. They're taking over. I've heard it's not that friendly over there.
oh, it's horrible.
We're
It's
very
horrible.
friendly here, and everyone comments. Everyone who does, like, we don't have a mass migration, but we do get our share. Like, I've definitely have my share of people who come in from other provinces. I don't know if it's affordability. They just say, hey, let's try it out. You know what? A lot of times they come here for short job things, and they're like, wow, are you guys ever friendly? They
Yeah.
do. They love living here. It's freezing, but they love living. They say it's very sunny here.
Hmm.
A lot of blue sky, very friendly people. And I hear that a lot. I think, wow, that must be true, because it doesn't seem like that to me. But according to them, it's pretty cold out there in Vancouver. Like, no one wants to talk to you or look at you.
Oh, Vancouver's severely anti-social. I did one of the most trending videos on my channel. I think it's got 70 or 80,000 views. Was 10 reasons why I left Vancouver. And that video there, I talk about the anti-socialness, people shooting up on the streets, everybody hates each other, everyone's in debt, And
Yeah.
and for a single guy under 5'10" in Vancouver, good luck. Good
So
luck
you
if you're under 5'10" in Vancouver. Good luck. So
got a lot of shorties
okay,
around here.
okay. So are you seeing any bidding wars on any houses there?
Always. And you know what? That is just a term. That's just a name. Like, that's a hype term, bidding wars. It's truly just a multiple offer.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
And
See, in Australia and in Vancouver or in Sydney, Australia, there's like 150 people standing outside of a house with the guy with a wooden
yeah.
mallet and raising the price as he goes, as he bids it up.
That's auction style. We don't do auction style. They have there. You're right. Australia style is everyone comes. It's for sale. They advertise it. People show up. You auction it off here. We don't have that system at all. No, never have. It's not. It's kind of a. These are ways that are governed, right? Like we've got securities commission, so we have ways that we handle real estate sales, and auction is not one of them. No.
Okay. Are you seeing so new development? Is it local Canadian development, or is it because in Vancouver when there's development it's all foreign investing?
Mm. No, not here. We're opposite. We have different type of trends altogether, and foreign investment would be like someone from Calgary or Toronto.
Okay.
We've had like other type of Canadians who try to make it. Some actually do well. Others really don't. They're like, we are going to show you how to do real estate because we sell real estate like hell in Toronto. We come, we sell out. Let's show you how it's done. And you know what? Winnipeg is Winnipeg. We have our own style, our own way, and you're not going to change it really. But there are some who come here and are successful, but usually because they copy our style.
Hmm.
Just go with the flow here, and that's how it works. Foreign, I don't know of any. No,
No.
no, it's
Okay.
no,
Okay.
not
Because
really.
a lot of our stuff now is foreign owned. Like
Sure.
a lot of our big towers in Vancouver are foreign owned.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
So
they got a lot of money out there, eh? So a lot of just those kind of countries have big money and they're trying to move it somewhere. But yeah, their favorite spot is Vancouver. I know that for sure because I do know
Sydney and Auckland too. Sydney, Australia, and Auckland, New Zealand.
they're top in the world. That's correct. Yeah. I don't usually compare ourselves to Australia, but I see why you do because you have similar clientele. Like you would have a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Average foreigners, we don't
Huge
have that.
huge comparisons. So where do you see development? Are you seeing a huge amount of homelessness now that the housing's booming? Then if housing's booming, that means prices are rising. If prices are rising, are you seeing more homeless than you did 5 years ago?
I don't know if it's more, and if it is, I don't think it has anything to do with housing. It would have more to do with meth. That is not a housing issue that we have here as much. And you know what? We're cold here, so if you're going to be homeless lifestyle, this is not the best place to be. Like we have a lot of shelters and good things, but a lot is I hear like in the warmer climates, then that gets bigger. But here it's pretty hard. We have a lot of shelters for winter. I don't think anyone could actually survive on the street in the winter. Not really. That's not realistic around here. It's like minus 40, minus 42. Where are you going to go? So you got to fit in somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that people who are in those kind of quandaries need to move to warmer ground no matter what. Maybe in the summer.
Like
But
San Diego or
no, like here, say it's
I'm
Canadian.
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, I see where you're coming. So, guys,
Yeah.
here's a picture of downtown Winnipeg, an ICM image here. To your right on my screen here, you can see that's what Winnipeg looks like. I've been to Winnipeg several times, actually. Here's Winnipeg, what it looks like here. And let me see here. There's a lot of pictures of Winnipeg here. Winnipeg is a very nice city. It's got this little crossroads area. Here's the bridge. This is where the Raven was the other day walking. And there's the temple there. I got to go pray at that temple.
Mm.
I don't know if Raven remembers. He's walking by the temple, and I'm saying I have to go out there and do a prayer. I'm being sarcastic. Anyways, okay. So now with new developments, new housing booming. So do you think Winnipeg has a chance to get on the map when it comes to jobs? What's going on with jobs?
Winnipeg is an extremely stable market. Actually, Manitoba is. So when you saw so you take Vancouver or Toronto and even Calgary, of course, and Edmonton a bit. And since I've ever been in real estate, and even before I got into real estate as a realtor, I did invest because I've always been in business, and I was always interested in real estate. And then I come from that kind of family, so I've kind of seen the trends. And do you want to know something? Nothing has changed. Winnipeg, we are slow and steady, and Vancouver's always been a certain amount more than us, like 3 times, and Toronto's always 2 times, and Calgary goes up and down compared to oil, and Toronto takes big ups and then down and then up again and down, right? We don't. We are very slow and steady around here. So that's how we go. We don't really boom. We have just been very good, slow, steady rate. And when the US went down and you guys go down, we don't go down. We just nicely climb. And then I have also seen us like, so when I started, we went nice and down for about 10 years. We were
Wow.
like down, 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 down. So if you wanted to sell, you had to sell lower than your neighbor just sold with the same house. You had to price a little lower because we're going down. If I want to be the next to sell, let's go. That happened, and then we flatlined, so you could nail a house price within $200. Really, you could just be, I know what that's going to sell for, because we were the same price for about whatever years, 4 years, and then we started going up, and no one believed it would continue, but it has. So since 2002, we have done nothing but go up,
Right.
nice and slow and steady, no down.
So
Yeah.
it's good to have a nice, small growing
Hmm.
economy there, because then you're not so heavily dependent on one boom, right?
We're
Vancouver
very
was what, because they become deindustrialized. They were on the housing boom, right? And then now the housing boom faltered. There's nothing left because they hinged so much on one thing, right? Now, I got a question here from Red Pill Millennial. He said, "I heard there's a lot of gangs in Winnipeg. Is that true?"
Well, that is true. Yeah, I guess. And especially in certain areas, and maybe they're everywhere, I don't know, but maybe. And I don't know as much as Raven knows more about gang life. I am more I'm just, you know what I mean? I guess they are. Yes, you're
Okay,
right.
yeah. Because I know in Toronto, I know this from several people that have told me from different areas of Toronto that they're having a really tough time with Somalian gangs. So, um,
Maybe. You know what? I have heard our French Quarter has a little more maybe of that coming up downtown. That's true. Well, we don't need to talk about that, do we? That's not for me. I don't really know about these things,
no,
but
I'm just saying like they're being gripped with a lot of these
one,
problems. But yeah,
one
because that the comments are going crazy. People are like gangs, lots of shootings. Yeah. Okay, Winterpeg. Someone just called it Winterpeg.
that's correct. We are freezing cold in the winter. You got to be a survivor.
Yeah, yeah. I've been to the city. I think it's a nice city. I stayed in the part of the city where everything you had to go underground to cross the street.
You could, if you like, sure.
That no, there
That
was
helps.
no stoplights to cross above ground. It was you had to
Mm.
actually go under some tunnels.
Yeah, that's Portage and Main, so our two big crossings. So instead of blocking traffic, we go underneath. Plus, you can go up to the buildings, and then you can get to a lot of part of downtown by the skywalks as well.
I
Very
did that.
interconnected.
I thought
Freezing.
that was phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. Um, so are you seeing any speculative bubbles there?
Yeah, so like we were saying, we're very steady Eddie, and we have lots and lots going for us. So there's farming here. We have just such a diverse economy.
Hmm.
So diverse here. Like in labs and like just too many things, too many businesses, and everyone here. You know what? We used to be and may still be the lowest debt per capita in Canada. So around here, people are quite like just the roots, I guess, just your heritage roots and farm roots, I guess. People are quite, yeah, they don't like debt. They're a lot more conservative and financial strong. A lot of old money here that people don't realize. Lots and lots of old money. So that's quite conservative. And so, yeah,
Let
we're
me
just
ask you.
diverse,
Let me ask you
more
a question.
stable.
Let me ask you a question. When you go shopping, you're grocery shopping, and you're in line and you're waiting to pay for your stuff, is everybody in the lineup buying an item, or is everyone going up with their shopping carts full of food?
I don't, one item, maybe in the one item lines.
No, no, because every time in Vancouver, when I go, like here in Merritt, where I live, when I go grocery shopping, everybody's shopping carts are full. But when I'm in Vancouver, you get some guy with a flashy tie and square glasses, and he's buying 2, 3 items because that's what he's going to eat for the next 3 months. And I'm kind of bizarro on that. And I see that when you go to big cities, you see a lot of people cutting back on buying food. And then when you go to small towns, they're buying tons of food.
Yeah, because we just have a different mentality. Like I'm a stalker upper. If you come from farm, you just come from you can and you keep, and you don't want to shop all the time. You just
Right.
want to, I do my shopping and now I'm good for a while, right? And then some people have the whole, yeah, buy a loaf of bread and a salad today and tomorrow I'll buy like one piece of meat and a potato. or, we're like, let's stock up. I'm not going shopping all day. It's freezing out there, right? We hunker down.
Okay.
So we get develop that sort of habit, you know, a little
Okay.
more. We stock up. Yeah.
Are people borrowing? Do you notice people borrowing to meet consumption there?
I don't know what people's debt lives are. Truly, I don't. I
Okay.
don't know. Hmm.
Okay. 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 That's kind of important because if it's not, because then you have a nice, stable, healthy, balanced society, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
we're less per capita. That is true. That has been that way for years, and maybe someone outdid us this year. I don't know. But as far as like Canada goes, Manitoba is quite known for not liking debt as much. We like to pay off things and live within your means more so than the rest. I don't know why that is,
do you know
but
what the government was talking about the other day? Saying this generation is much more comfortable with debt than older generations, and it's like people need to be educated about debt very quickly, especially the younger generations, because they're taking on more and more debt, and it's crippling them, and it's stopping their chances from buying their first home and their first car, and living a life, right? So that's why I
yeah.
asked that. Now, okay, now let me ask you. What's the average benchmark across Manitoba for the average house? The average benchmark price across the board.
324 something like that.
320s.
Three,
Okay.
yeah, or three, no, mid 320s maybe. Yeah, I forget. I'm not the best with numbers, but it's not higher than 330s. Yeah, it's in the.
Okay, because five 6 years ago it was about 266.
Yeah, I know. We keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keep going.
so it's gone up. There's about 266 average benchmark price across the province of Manitoba. Now it's in the 320 ishes,
Mhm.
kind of there. What is the average rent for a two bedroom?
1,200.
Okay. Did you see that video? I don't know if you saw the video I did. That's low income housing or low income families. Average rent for a two bedroom is $3,200.
A month?
Yeah,
Where?
in Vancouver.
Yeah.
That is what the uh
Times. You guys are always three times us, three times the price, three times the rent. I mean, Vancouver is expensive. Holy.
You told me that
How the
6
hell?
years ago.
Always, I told him that. I said, nothing has changed. What do you think has changed since I started real estate? Nothing. Not one thing.
mhm,
Same gap. Except Vancouver is crazy, but it always was. It's crazy, What
mhm.
are you going to do? And yet they do seem to have their little up and down. Like they'll say, yeah, their markets, your little graphs with that goes up and down a lot more, but it continually, it's a slow slide up with some up and downs. Us, we're flat line up. We
Well,
go flat line up, we go flat line across, then we go,
flatline's good,
yeah,
especially when you want something stable, right? Because
yeah,
remember,
you
it's like it's like relationships, right? You meet, everyone's excited to meet, and you're excited to meet your new girlfriend or boyfriend, and then after a little while it goes down, and then it gets bad, and then it goes worse, and you know what I'm saying? So you want
Oh,
it stable, you want excitement right through, but
she knows what you're saying.
huh?
Say it.
what? I don't know.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you know what I'm saying about that, right? So you kind of want it a little bit the whole time, not just this huge euphoria and then it comes down, right?
I don't know if we choose it. It just is. And so that's just how it is. I mean, yeah, good. It's great to have a boom. It's like, wow, why can't we boom like that? But then when they go down, it's like, oh, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guess we're okay, right? And then you just kind of get used to the idea that that's how it is and that's not going to change. And I know that sometimes people, wonder how the market will go. But I know from our past, you can see it coming. You can see if the market is turning bad. You can watch it so you can do something about it if you need to. Whereas
Okay.
I think sometimes in those other like oil, you can't see it coming. That just what? Oil went down. Holy shit. Housing's down. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Oh, I knew things were gonna. I knew stuff was gonna develop. I've been following the trend, but I put my money where my mouth is. I put it in the markets, and I don't just talk the talk. I actually put money into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Mm-hmm.
don't say, "Oh, oil's gonna do this." Well, if I know oil's gonna do this, that's where I put my money, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
So
imagine what oil's going to do at all.
mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
well, is there anything else, guys in the questions? Is there any questions that you want to ask this real estate agent in the real estate business for 30 plus years, and has been in the ups and downs of the market, understands the markets up, understands the expansion and the growing of the city? Someone's
Our
asking
city.
if Raven's a bad boy all the time.
What do you mean a bad boy?
I don't
What
know,
does that
like,
mean?
I don't know.
You mean his personality hasn't changed? No, he's not. Can't change. I have tried.
Oh no, you can't do that. That's impossible. Remember what Marge Simpson says? It takes. Don't ever fool yourself, Lisa. You could change a man. It takes 25 long years and counseling and medication.
Medication. No. He's fine. He's not as bad as he seems. Like it's true, but that's how men are, right? Men are men. So we got a lot of testosterone.
Well, we'll have you on the show for Mike in the Night, and you could tell us, like, not your or just maybe the gossip that goes around that you hear floating around with what's happening with this whole men going their own way and just there's just so much going on out there. I'm not in that scene. I don't care. I'm an old man, so you know what I'm saying, right? So it's good to hear perspectives from people that deal with a lot of different people that live in those cities. I live in a small town, so it's hard for me to gauge.
Me too. Really, we're a small town. We're not all like that. No, I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty conservative around here.
Good.
Truly. Yeah, that's true. Like our city center, that was what saved us, right? Saving our downtown saved us. Every city needs to have a vibrant downtown. And that came, so a lot of infill. Yeah, because center is where to be and it's kind of getting old. So there's lots of that. I'm heavily into the infill development.
What do you project the next 2 quarters going, up or down? Because usually it's pretty frothy in the winter and sales go down. But what do you see in Q2 of 2020? Do you see houses stabilizing or going up, or do you see a mass migration of Ontarians and BCNs moving there?
I don't think we're going to have a mass migration because we never have. So that's just never happened. People don't be like, oh, I love Winnipeg. We are cold, and those people do not like to come here. So they'll come here for different reasons, and that's just really not it as much. Trends, the only reason I'm going to say that it's going to keep doing what we're doing is because those are the forecasts, and also because I understand interest rates will come down. That just makes everything just keep going, right?
Well, a majority of Winnipeg will be, or a majority of Manitoba will be saved because, one, like you said, there's a lot of old money. Two, there's a lot of people that have their homes paid off. Three, a lot of people are not indebted, like you said, and if they do raise interest rates, it's not going to hurt the bottom line. So if they do raise rates, a lot of people will be like, okay, so what, right?
Yeah, and plus they're not supposed to really be raised, are they? I don't think so.
They have to raise rates to hedge against inflation, right?
I don't know. Right now, it doesn't seem. I don't know what will happen, but I do know that
they have to raise rates, like economically speaking, to be competitive in the world market too, right? So if they keep going with low rates and into negative territory, it's just going to get worse, right?
Well, Winnipeg, you know what? We just defy logic. So when the States was going down in 2008 and all that crash was happening, and everyone else said, oh, it's terrible. We weren't. We continued to grow.
Of course.
A little bit.
Well, no, because you guys weren't writing bad debt there. You guys weren't throwing bad debt on the books. You guys were actually doing it by the books.
You're right. And I think that's just going to continue. So I'm going to have to say in the next couple of quarters, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, keep going up, or a little 3% a year.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. All right, Mrs. X, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on our show and give us a little bit of a layout there of what's been going on.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Very easy. I don't love talking, but, especially on the radio. That was very fun. Thank you.
No, anytime. And maybe if you want to come on Mike in the Night and if you want to contribute to a topic we're talking about, we always change topics. So just add me on Skype. Raven said he'll set you up on Skype, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, Raven. Guys, that was the Raven, 2-time world champ. We're going to have him on the show actually this Saturday because Man, does he ever have a story for you guys? I'm not gonna ruin it. But I'm not gonna give you the whole story. The bank wouldn't let him withdraw his own money. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying any more. The bank wouldn't let him withdraw his own money. All right, let's go back here and go through some of these articles and finish these off. We got 3D printed houses coming to Texas Village for the homeless. That's fantastic. Thank you. Look at that. Wood ceilings, all sanded. Look at that. Hardwood. Look beautiful. Good. They cost $10,000 US. 500 homes across 51 acres. Beautiful. This is for the homeless, you see? This is what I like to see. I don't want free homes, but you know what? If we could get... I'm just trying to find this. There it is, right there. Look at that. 10 grand. You can't even buy a garage tile. Or you can't even buy a knob for a door in Vancouver for 10 large. Look at that. 10 large. And the guy put it on a drone too. Look, they're building them all around here. Look at that. Now that's what I'm talking about. Yes. House prices growth slowest for 7 years. Where is this? In the United Kingdom. House prices rose at a slower rate in the year of July than any other time since September 2012. Well, we know what's happened to the UK. The UK several years ahead of Vancouver and Canada and Australia. UK is number one. UK opened their doors to wealthy investors back in 2006. And UK was competing for wealthy investors. That's why they're now 7 years in a row slow. 7 years in a drought. Right? Yeah, where's Kevin Thompson? Where the hell is Kevin Thompson? Let's see if we can get STP. He said, STP, turn on your Skype, buddy. I need your Skype on. Let's see if he picks up.
Hello.
Who the hell is this?
Who the hell is this? You called me, buddy.
What's up, Steve? What are you up to?
Oh, just going for a walk. Just trying to get out and get a little bit of exercise and try to get my girlish figure back. You know.
Oh yes. Well, I didn't see you too long ago. You look pretty good.
Oh, you're lying.
You didn't look that bad. What are you talking about?
No, it's all about lifestyle changes, man, and trying to do what's best for me, and get into a little bit better shape, and keep your health in mind. I'm getting old, Mike. I'm getting old.
We're all getting old, buddy. Question: what happened to Kevin Thompson?
He's at the soup kitchen.
The soup kitchen in Oakville?
Yeah. I mean, he's going in for his evening snack. He's sold his condo. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm surprised. He's always in the comments. I hope Kevin Thompson's okay. I really do hope so.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Apparently, Lord Humongous ate Kevin Thompson.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Steve, what's going on the ground there in the GTA? Because I'm hearing a lot of rumors that the housing is going up. Gary Medeiros is blowing up my phone, asking me when it's gonna. I'm just joking. He's not blowing up my phone. When is market's gonna correct? I told him there's a few ways. One, we stop competing for rich investors. Two, we start making more money to in turn be able to afford a middle class home. Or three, we leave the markets on autopilot, and if you leave them on autopilot for too long, they end up crashing without the stimulus and without interest-only mortgages and first-time home buyer loans. So we need to leave things on autopilot, either get a raise or So, what's happening, Steve? Are you seeing tension there? Are prices going up? What's going on?
Okay. Well, I mean, at this point, I think we need to identify that the irrational exuberance that once existed. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Perfectly.
Okay. So the irrational exuberance that once existed within the market is gone. Now, when I say that, you had outside influences like foreign buyers coming in and elevating house prices. And it didn't have to be a whole heck of a lot of foreign buyers. It just had to be enough where we as Canadians felt as though we needed to compete. And, going to the table and, offering stupid amounts of money. That obviously affected certain things. Now that that's gone and things have done a complete 360, I don't think people are truly aware of how bad China is. And I've talked to many people regarding this, and China is in a hell of a lot of trouble. And when I say a hell of a lot of trouble from an economic standpoint, they're they're on the verge of a massive reset. The banks are actually calling in a lot of the loans that Chinese businessmen have, whether it be their factory for production or manufacturing, whatever it may be.
Well, the
But
banks have deleveraged a lot. The banks have deleveraged a lot to lend out a lot of money they didn't have, and then getting the government to bail them out is not working anymore. This cycle is not working. So what's happening now is, yes, they have been calling in their loans, and they've been calling in a lot of unsecured debts too, like unsecured on signature, just not mortgages, but unsecured debts of $2, $3, $4 little $1,000 small loans across China. They're being called in like to pay now. They're calling in their loan, their debt.
that's exactly right. So that's what's happening, and it's definitely the furthest thing from a good thing. Not to mention with the increased capital outflows, you're seeing a lot of foreign buyers with respect to them being Chinese, whether they're here or not. The fact of the matter is, they own this real estate. Many of them speculated and bought, not just one, two, but 3 or 4 properties. And now all of a sudden, the panic is there. They need to sell. They can't get the money out of China. And furthermore, it's not just getting the money out of China. Their whole aspect of their home life back home, where their roots are, is actually underneath financial duress. So if you take a look around, in a lot of the new subdivisions in the York Region area or Greater Toronto area, outside of Toronto proper, it's you take a look at these listings, and you have 50 listings. I kid you not, Mike. 40 of them are all Chinese names.
Yeah, well, no, Canadian proper can't buy their own property anymore in major cities. We know that. Let's go to community here on my channel. I have an article that I posted yesterday. Stouffville, 0% interest, $999,000 for a home.
Yeah.
And Stouffville, in my opinion, is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so it borders Markham, and it borders Aurora and Newmarket, if you will, almost. So, yeah, I guess it could be construed as, definitely rural. In actual fact, it is classified as a rural area. That said, that's $999,000 to start. And I think I've seen that before. Is that the Conservatory Group?
It's from Heritage Collection in Stouffville.
Yeah, but who's the builder?
I can't see it. It's too small.
Okay.
But it does come with a 2-car garage
group.
and indoor plumbing.
Yeah, okay. So, you know what? I think I saw this today. That's the Conservatory Group. They own and have...
conservatorygroup.com. Yeah, I see it. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. So, basically, that's the sticker price to get you in the door. And I've investigated it.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, you're going to go in and pay about $1.1 to $1.2 million. They're going to go ahead and they're going to give you a mortgage for 3 to 5 years with 0% interest, whatever it may be. And they've cooked the books. They've basically elevated the house price and then sold you this house. And it's a horrible build. from a tradesman standpoint, don't buy from the conservatory group.
Mhm.
They're absolutely garbage. But if you need to buy, you're buying overpriced real estate to begin with, and furthermore, it's basically elevated to cover the cost of the 6 or 7%. We're not talking about 2 or 3%. We're talking about 6 to 7%
Mhm.
interest.
Mhm. So someone in the comments saying, "No, Mike, it's like it's LOL. It's close to Markham. It doesn't matter, guys. The central city, the most centralized, most important city and trade and commerce is Toronto. Okay, the further away you go from Toronto, I don't care if you buy Markham. Markham doesn't have what do you call it? A stock market, right? It's not called the Markham Stock Market. It's the Toronto Stock Exchange. I'm not trying to be like, I'm saying like it'd be like living in the middle of Florida, in the middle of nowhere. Mark Stouffville to me is like living in the middle of nowhere in Florida, as opposed to living in Miami. Like that's how Stouffville is. I don't care how built up it is, because there's a lot of parts that are built up across Ontario, but you're too far away from the trade commerce, right? Commerce. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree, Steve, or no? Am I wrong?
I agree to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same point in time, the transit there. I mean, if you're in Markham, Richmond Hill, Stouffville, even Newmarket, the GO train goes right down to Union, and you can be there within the hour. Okay,
Okay.
like I mean, uh, it's 6.5 dozen. I get where you're coming from. I think you're talking about more, further out in terms of more rural areas where public transportation, like the GO train, is non-existent, or it's very laxed.
So
But
Matsky's saying, yeah, I lived in Stouffville my whole life. I haven't been in Stouffville in like I think 25 years.
yeah, well, I mean, okay, so Stouffville, it's considered a rural area, but it really is not.
Okay.
Technically, it's the only reason why. The good thing about it still being classified as a rural area is for the purposes of property tax. That is it. That is all.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that fire department goes to full time, and it's no longer a volunteer fire department, it can no longer be considered rural. Okay, that's a big indication in terms of their emergency services. Now they are policed by the York Regional Police, but in terms of the Stouffville Fire, I mean, got a few buddies that are volunteers out of there, and they work off pagers, and they do have full-time days. So it's a composite haul, if you will, full-time days, volunteer nights. But it's still very much a volunteer fire department. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I'm seeing here, Stouffville here, the city. I'm seeing the main street here. I think this is the main street up here. Stouffville. This is it right here. Yeah, it's like a strip of downtown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just checking out the main street here in downtown Stouffville.
So Stouffville will eventually become a very, very much so a bedroom blanketed community, just like Brampton is.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's piles of room to build in Stouffville. The land's also all bought, and Conservatory Group, that family there, has bought a significant amount of land. Fieldgate has bought a significant amount of land over there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Now, Mike, okay, now, where are things headed now, in your opinion? You've been right about the rate hikes and rate cuts. Where do you think rates are going to go in the next quarter? We've got one more rate cut in October, right? Or a rate meeting, or they're going to hold, obviously, the powers to be, the superpowers of ruining our lives will be hosting a meeting. Where do you think rates are going to go, down or up?
They're definitely not going to go up. Are you talking about with respect to the Bank of Canada?
Yes.
Okay, so the rates are definitely not going up. You want to see a recession kick up into high gear in a matter of seconds, you raise the overnight lending rate, and you see everything just come down like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, that said, I think the Bank of Canada, if they were smart, they would be making the decision at the 11th hour and just understanding where things are going. I personally think that they're going to have to cut rates, especially maybe not at the next meeting, but they will have to cut rates if the Feds go ahead and cut one more time. Now, that said, you are aware of our actual inflation. Our inflation came in at 1.9, correct? Yeah.
But that's kind of interesting because people are borrowing to meet consumption.
Yes, and that you took the words right out of my mouth. So at this point, all signs point the smart thing would be to cut rates. Okay? But the problem is, all that's going to do is going to increase certain things that we don't want to happen.
Exactly.
The amount of unqualified people that have mortgages right now, whether you want to go and check stats, or you want to go ahead and furthermore look at articles like Better Dwelling had one out either today or the following day.
Yeah, cover that one. I know which one you're talking about. There's where was it here? There was one I was reading here today that was pretty good. Oh yeah, even this one. Look, Canadian mortgages are now so large, the benefit of low rates is minimal. So them lowering rates means squat. And Steve, do you remember the video I did? I think it was in a waiting room in the hospital when I was. This was a few months back, where if they went to 0, it wouldn't make a difference, and if they went to like -3 or 4%, maybe you might see the average income earner come into the market. But right now, even if we went to 0, I don't think it'd make any difference right now because mortgages are so big.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Mortgages are in essence way too big, and what we're seeing right now is people that were prudent. And for example, let's say somebody bought a house in the Greater Toronto area, but in the suburbs.
Right.
And they spent, in 2016, 2017, they bought a house for $1.2, $1.3 million. Okay? Who cares what the house looks like? But at the end of the day, that house is worth on or about or less than $1 million. So for argument's sake, let's just say it's $1 million. So by the time they go ahead and they factor in what they had to bring, in terms of the down payment, we have to also realize what that income looks like in order to qualify for that. That's over $1 million mortgage.
Right.
Now they go ahead, their down payment is gone, and all they have left is this overpriced real estate that basically they owe more on than what it's actually worth. So the only thing that they're going to save, in essence, is their credit rating. That's all that they're going to save. That's all that they care about. And they can put it on the market and go ahead and try to do this, try to do that, try to sell it like they're all doing right now, on the market, off the market, on the market, off the market, reducing by 50,000, and actually thinking they're going to get somewhat close to what they paid for the property. Now that said, it's very simple. For a real estate agent to go ahead and check what the property was last sold for. Okay? You don't even need that. You can just go on to House Sigma and you can actually find out what they paid. And everybody knows that market is down 25 to 35%, depending on where it is geographically. So even if somebody was stupid enough to go ahead and give them $100,000 or 10% less than what they bought it for, if they require a first charge mortgage, that house will not appraise out. The bank will not close on that deal.
Right. Well, why is the bank going to lend money to a house that's worth less than what they bought it for, or less than what it's valued at? Or one rule, Steve. I was talking to an underwriter in London. Okay, it was a few days ago. I was talking to him. He watches my channel a lot, and do you know what he said? I mentioned something in one of my videos a long time ago. And he brought it up again, and he brought it up at one of his meetings, one of these work meetings, right, with other underwriters in the banking sector. And you know what he said? He said, Mike, you brought up something that was really, really super intelligent years ago. You brought up the fact that They're lending or they're giving mortgages on a property where the property integrity of the structure doesn't have no less than 10 years or 20 years left in the integrity, and they're doing interest-only mortgages, and they're doing 30 and 40-year mortgages on properties that the structural integrity won't last more than 10 years.
Where is this exactly?
It's something I talked about a few years ago on my channel.
Okay.
And then this underwriter talked to me a few days ago from London, and he told me about that. And he's like, Mike, you are so darn right, because the banks need to go on the integrity of the structure of when the guy goes to do the appraisal, the appraiser is going to tell the integrity of the structure. Is it 30 years to go before it falls apart, 50 years to go? The bank is not allowed to issue a mortgage longer than what the integrity of the structure is. And one thing the banks have been doing, if they've been issuing mortgages on homes that won't last the amortization of the mortgage.
Yeah.
And that's a big no-no. And they've done it to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of properties across the country.
Oh, for sure. Private lenders are now pulling the plug on a lot of stuff. So private lenders, with respect to private mortgages, I'm not talking about, B lenders. I'm talking about C lenders. And if you're dealing with a C lender, anybody who's listening to this right now, if you have to deal with a C lender for the purposes of a second mortgage, you really should just be selling your house or not buying it at all. Okay? You're dealing with a loan shark at the end of the day. So, that said,
I think you can go to the Corleone family and get a better deal.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll leave that for a conversation for another day. But that said, if you're going ahead and you're doing what you need to do, those mortgages on that level, the second mortgages, they're actually only being given out on a 6 to 12 month term. That's how it's always been, and it's not meant for the purposes of a mortgage. In essence, it is a highly leveraged loan where interest rates are starting at 10 or 12%, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
So if you're borrowing $1 million, you're paying at 12%. You're paying like $120,000 a year in VIG.
That and let's put it this way: you go ahead and you forgot the main thing, and how this is legal. They charge an administration fee or initiation fee, which they call an administration fee for the purposes of complying to the Consumer Protection Act in Canada, that is. But mind you, that's provincial. But in terms of Ontario, they call it an administrative fee, and that's anywhere between 1% and 3% of the total loan value.
That's highway robbery. And the Royal Commission in Australia was looking into crap like that, pay to play, right? And it got out of hand. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to get mad tonight. But a lot of things are getting out of hand. And you know what? They're taking away people's futures by putting them into these products that, one, they can't afford, two, they can never pay back, and three, probably will still be paying back after the structure is on the ground. Exactly.
So, I mean, I had a interesting run-in with the bank for the purposes of qualifying for a mortgage. And you know what? It was actually quite funny. I thought for sure on that pre-approval that they would say, subject to, an appraisal, so on and so forth, a physical property appraisal, yada, 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 and they would be prudent about it. All they want is go ahead.
No, the thing is, Steve, this is the sad part. Let's say I was underwriting one of these mortgages myself. I would look at the mortgage. I would look at this. Of 100 mortgages that went by my desk, I'd probably approve like 20 of them, if that.
Okay.
I would look at the mortgage. I would look at the stability. Then I would look at the appraiser again, the appraisal that came back. I look at some comparables. I look at his credit score again, and then start asking questions. Why is this? Why is that? To the person that's actually the lender that's lending, or the person that's doing the deal for the client. I would write back to the lender and say, what's this and what's that before I approve this deal? I need to know what these things are either on his credit, either on the appraisal, either on his income. Why is there a gap in income? Was this? See, a lot of them, if I was underwriting some of these deals, a lot of them just won't be approved. Why? Not because I'm trying to turn down the customer. It's because I want to protect the customer, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of these customers need credit counseling, not more credit.
Right. No, I hear you. It's actually quite funny that I know a friend that is going through the exact same thing right now. But in any event, our situation is a little bit different. We're prudent with our finances and whatnot. And they came around and they said, "Yeah, we'll just do a drive-by, half-assed appraisal. It's $50, and be done with it." In other words, they check, they look at it, and be done with it. So I called up the mortgage broker and I said, no, I want a proper appraisal done. I don't want any funny business. I want a proper appraisal done before I remove my financing condition. "Oh, Steve, don't knock the boat. It's very rare that this happens," so on and so forth. I said, "Why are they being so relaxed?" And his exact words were, "Steve, they don't care. You're coming in with 75% down.
Mm-hmm.
They have bigger issues to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if the property goes down 30%. They don't care if you've overpaid by 10%. You have so much skin in the game that they know you're not going to walk. And if you do walk, it's actually in their best interest to pop the hat."
Yeah, but Steve, I get you.
Anyways,
But if your business for self, they won't touch you.
okay, to a certain degree.
Okay, to a certain
I
degree.
mean,
If you're slave wager, no problem. But if you're like myself, or you, when I go apply for anything, or I wanted to buy that store, I was 30 grand short. Business for self, get lost. I own my house free and clear, get lost.
oh yeah, Mike. They wanted to see my tax returns. They wanted to see my financial statements, like my personal statements, and furthermore, they actually wanted to see my corporate bank records, like my corporation and their tax returns, just to see that everything jived, or they weren't lending at all. And then they figured out what the down payment was, and then they started to relax things, and that's all part and parcel is because you know it's all there in terms of the down payment. Once you're getting into that down payment and you're living well within your means, or you're buying a house well within your means, they take a backseat approach almost. But that whole appraisal thing, I mean, I guess the moral of the story is, and the bottom line truly is, they ultimately need to continue to do these appraisals, and they need to do them vigorously, because that is the number one reason why, as especially in the Greater Toronto area and Vancouver, why the actual speculation is so high, and how easy it is to launder money by way of real estate transactions.
Interesting. It's a good story. Very
You don't have to like it, Mike, but it is very true.
It's true. It's true. Somebody's saying, Anthony D in the comments saying, there is no reason why a 300 square foot bachelor apartment in downtown Toronto should cost 500 large. Man, you guys don't want to make me mad, because once I go and do this.
Yeah, but Anthony D, I got a question. Is it a really classy Murphy bed that comes with it? Because then it's at least worth $450,000.
Guys, I'm going to tell you this right now.
I'm being sarcastic, Mike.
No. I'm going to go into that 500 large. 500 large. I'm going to go into Zillow right now. So that's about let's put it to 300 to 400,000 American. And see what you could get. Okay, let's see what you could get there for the one bedroom. Look at this beautiful 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,100 square feet, $390,000 in Boca Raton, Florida. And this is really nice in Boca Raton. It's close to Wilt Chamberlain's bar. Beautiful, beautiful theaters there. Look what you could buy. You could buy a 500 square foot condo for $500,000, or you could buy this for three something, which is equivalent to almost the same money. Look at this thing. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy Max. Yeah, I'm just trying to make Anthony D feel good. I actually want to show this to Anthony D because he needs to see this. He needs to understand what buying power means. Look, it's got a library in it too, and and a pool. What? Yeah, you're not buying a house in Florida without a pool. That's the thing. What else can you buy for that much money? Let's see what's nice here for that much money.
Yeah, Lord Humongous, Toronto it can be a very cold city in the wintertime.
Look at this one.
But the
Steve,
women are much colder.
I don't know if you could see this, but this one's $390, 5-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,500 square feet. Property tax $2,600 a year. It's in an intercoastal, so you could park your boat and you're living off an intercoastal here, so you could park your boat in your backyard of your house. Here it is, and you could take your boat out to the ocean.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you either buy a 500 square foot apartment in Toronto. I keep seeing this house, Steve. I think we need to buy this house. 5,000 square foot, 6-bedroom, 5 baths, 360,000. It's in West Palm Beach. It's not even 3 miles away from Donald Trump's house.
Nice.
Yep. It's in Northwood Hills. And and property taxes the lot is 9,000 square feet. And the property taxes are $2,600 a year. The house is enormous. It's like an auditorium in it and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Mike. Yeah, they're definitely good deals. But I have one question. Like, who the heck is gonna like they go and they buy this stuff? But I mean, wages down there are.
Dude, I mean, stop talking about wages when it's me and you, dude.
I know.
Come on, SA. I go down there, man. I speak 5 languages. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I'm
not. What do you think I'm gonna do down there? Go work at like.
That's anyway, right. Nobody works down there. Huh? Nobody works down there.
Well, no, I'm not gonna go work flipping burgers. I'm gonna actually go there and actually pull a scarf race. First, you get the power, then you get the money, and then you get the women.
There you go. Just make sure Lord Humongous or the Raven are there, to back you up.
Yeah, they always got my back. Wow, look at this one. Look at this house. This is beautiful. Good starter home. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 4,000 square feet. It's been on Zillow for like 1 million years, and it's got a price cut, and it's $345. Beautiful house. Hardwood. That's real hardwood, guys. That is real hardwood. Yeah. You could get this or a 500 square foot bedroom, 500 square foot bedroom house in Toronto.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's all there, Mike. I got a question for you. Uh-oh. What do you think about rates in terms of the Bank of Canada, and where do you see real estate prices in the Greater Toronto area going? Are they going to continue to trend upwards as rates decline?
Nope, it's trending upwards only because of the minimal amount of sales that are being made are at the lowest it's been.
That's right. So
I looked at how long it would take to turn over all the inventory in Toronto. It will take 103 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Unlike all the inventory in Toronto in 2017 would take 21 years.
Interesting.
So it would take 103 years to flip over all the inventory in Toronto now, as opposed to 21 years.
Wow. Okay.
So you get what I'm saying? Sales are up, but at what? What's the reality of it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, sales could be up, but it doesn't matter. Look how much is on the market for sale, right? So, I think we should go to Montgomery, Alabama, dude. Look,
okay.
A plantation. 375, 6 beds, 4 bath, 4,100 square feet on 3 acres of land.
That's pretty crazy,
dude. If you could see it on your thing there on your, it's a plantation. Look at this. Look at the door. It's so wide.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's quite a bit delay.
Oh my god, it's a plantation. We could grow tobacco, dude.
Yeah, that's right. Grow tobacco.
Grow some tobacco. Hilarious. Yo, dude, this house is. This house is hype. Wow. Yeah, we should buy a plantation, Steve. I'm telling you, man.
I hear you.
Anyways, ooh, the White House. House looks like the White House.
So, Mike, answer my question? What are your thoughts? Where do
Oh,
you kind of sort of see things? Tell me.
prices are going to have to go down because nobody's making enough money to live. The middle class Canadian cannot get into the market. And when you see that the middle class average earning Canadian cannot get into the market and needs a first time home buyer loan, it's over. The game's over. It's done.
Okay.
There's nowhere to go. Steve, the only way it will work is either A, they reset the economy, which they have to, because our economy has been shrinking quarter over quarter, but they're making it seem like we're making so much. We're not. We've been we're no longer producing, and there's a lot of people that are not productive anymore. We have a very unproductive segment of society that hinged off housing for so many years. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And this deflationary spiral is unbaited in the changing of the global markets, you know, and this is why it's making gold and cryptocurrency and silver become more and more attractive lately. You know what I'm saying? And Canada, especially Toronto, they're so crushed right now that they need to start to find ways to create more output because they're not outputting anymore. It's all tacky and Mickey Mouse, and once you create output, that could grow the GDP properly, and that could help transfer wealth instead of the banks deleveraging money they don't have already to hopefully get the governments to bail them out. Everything's tied to the banks. All our mortgages are tied to the banks. Everything's tied to the banks, and we will, if it doesn't happen, Steve, if we don't have a correction, we will become a zombicide economy nation. And our banks will become nationalized, and it's going to be like Japan.
Hey, couldn't have said it better myself. So I wanted to bring something to your attention. Are you aware of, did you see Andrew Scheer's alarming letter regarding that donkey down in Toronto? He's a member of parliament. He's a Liberal, and he's basically trying to go, and I guess he brought something up, and I guess... Trudeau is also on board with it for the purposes of putting capital gains tax on our principal residence.
That's going to happen.
Did you hear about
100%.
This? Really? You think so?
It has to. Can I tell you, Steve, why?
So principal residence exemption is basically going to go ahead, and it's what are you trying to? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
It's going to happen. It has to happen. Do you know why? Because anytime anything is brought to the table for discussion, it's going to be relooked at, it's going to be rechecked, and it's finally going to be talked, and then it's going to be passed, and then it's going to become law.
So you're telling me you are placing your bet that you owning your principal residence, me owning my principal residence, any gains that we go and we get for the purposes of selling our primary or principal residence, in terms of that exemption, is going to be removed, and we will have to pay tax on any profits we get from our houses.
1,000,000%.
Okay, so let's do a spin on this. Now, are they going to allow us to, like in the U.S., go ahead and basically let us write off our mortgage interest?
Nope.
Property tax?
Nope.
Home repairs? You need a roof? You need to call a plumber? Hope you don't have to call a plumber, but anyhow.
Nope.
So really, basically, we're a bunch of pylons, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Anything that gets brought to attention, whether it's even if it's the pylon over in Ottawa, whether it's the guy for the NDP or the woman for the Green Party, it doesn't matter. Anything that gets brought up in discussion, even if it's a Liberal Party that brought it into as discussion, it gets revisited, it gets relooked, it gets brought back, it gets revisited, it gets talked about, and then it becomes a thing. That's how it starts, with discussion piece, and then whether it's true or not, somebody brought it out. It could be that Andrew Scheer brought that out, blaming the Liberal Party that they were going to do this, In reality, they're going to do it, but they want to kind of throw it out there and see what the public thinks about it, right?
I mean, yeah, it just depends on who's masterminding and whatnot. But
But
yeah,
no,
I'd love.
it's been out. Anything that gets out like that and it becomes a main piece on the news, that means it's going to be revisited, it's going to be talked, it's going to be revisited, talked, it's going to be put into law, and then we're just going to pass it, and then that's it.
Well, then you know what's going to happen here, and hopefully the Raven or somebody else that can comment on this, whether it's Supreme, Canon, or whatnot, or I'll be honest with you, Mike. Then what's the point of owning a house in your own name? Why wouldn't you just set up a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Ontario or Canada corporation
Yeah.
as a hold company or a holding company and own the asset?
No, because what's happened now with the foreign investing through the corporate shell companies and numbered companies, they're actually going to change it for all of Canada in 2021.
I'm listening.
That's also another thing that's been put on the table too. Just like your capital gains on that, that's another thing that's been thrown on the table.
So basically, what you're saying is they're going to remove the ability to go ahead and own Canadian real estate by way of corporate holding company or shell company.
Right. But they're going to blame it on all the foreign investing on that, and all Canadians will be penalized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Mike.
Steve, I'm sorry. This is just where it's going. And people need to prepare for this. I'm saying this, and I hope, hand to God, I'm dead wrong. I don't want my pay taxes on my property when I sell my property. Steve, I don't want my kids to suffer. You know what I'm saying? This is where it's going. This is where we have to go. Why? The governments are spending more than they're taxing.
Yeah, in terms of overall consumption, I get that, but we also have to factor in, and I'm not trying to challenge you on this situation, but I do believe that there may be one or two just off the cuff charter right violations here.
Oh, please give me a break. They're gonna.
Yeah.
You know how vague the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is? It's so vague.
Okay, so Mike, what do we do? Do we
Nothing.
just lie down and take it?
Well, what can we do? We are in a democratic system that we elect who we put into power to basically take our power of our vote to influence our constituency in favor of what we hope that they do for us, right? That's the problem.
Okay.
We surrender our vote and we give the power to whoever gets voted in, and basically they are basically doing our bidding. And unfortunately, but here's the deal, Steve. A lot of things need to happen. One, we need to be. This is an independent video I was going to make in a few days, and I'll just talk about it a little bit. We need transparency, Steve. We don't have any transparency. Never mind the government. I don't give a crap about the government. We're not getting transparency anymore in our financials. We're not getting transparency through our GDPs. I can't audit anything. Steve, if I wanted to audit payroll for Canada, if I wanted to audit Canadian payroll, there's no transparency. All these numbers don't match. If I wanted to audit our, let's say I wanted to go ahead and audit our exports, none of the numbers will match. Nothing will because we're not getting the full transparency. We're not getting the full Monty of what's really going on. They're looking at us and saying, well, we don't need they'll look at you, Steve, and say, Steve, you're a plumber. Do you really need to know what the export numbers are in reality? Or do you just want to hear what we want to tell you and you'll be happy with that? That's what I'm trying to say to you, Steve. There's no transparency in anything when it comes. Government, there's no transparency. I don't care. Government's finished. In my book, it doesn't matter who you vote in. The problem is the whole transparency of how do we audit? Steve, let's say we wanted to spend a couple of weeks and we wanted to audit our healthcare system in Canada, okay? We couldn't do it because we don't have any concrete numbers to work with because they're not telling us what they're really spending, or they're not telling us how much of our taxes are going. They're not telling us how much healthcare is going to new immigration versus Canadians. They're not telling us everything. And you know
Right.
what? They'll never tell us anything, Steve. And that's the problem we're in right now. That's why I have this show. I had a lady on from Winnipeg. I have you on from Toronto. This way we could see what's happening in different parts of the world. I had someone on from Australia last week. I had somebody on from Alabama. We need to know what is happening from our points of views. Because I understand what you're saying, Steve. Do we lie down and take it? There's no. We have to form a grassroots labor middle class party that's actually gonna have the pillars of what made Canada originally. That's what Canada needs. A party that represents the working class, the middle class, the people going, the people going through education, the people that send their kids to, that kind of a middle class hasn't had a representation in many years now. Okay, because the government's like back to the guy on the $50 bill, I think. Up until that government, it was all about the people because they really wanted the people's votes and they really wanted to make their constituents happy. Now they're not doing this anymore. They're lying to us and we're just whatever. And we're going to have to lay down and take it until there is a movement in Canada we need patriotism, a movement of what it was to be Canada and to make Canada great. Bring Canada back to the 80s and 70s, to when people worked but had a way of life. Now people work, they can't even eat.
Yeah, no kidding. Lord humongous. What a peach you are, Steve. Invest in KY jelly. You already have taken it. We all have taken it. That's pretty funny. You know what? And I guess he's right in a roundabout way, Mike. Kind of depressing when you think about it, but I don't know. Maybe the Raven's right. He says, we're going cashless, and they want cash removed from society, so on and so forth.
Oh, once they remove cash from society, it's over. These super groups, they're called super groups. Super groups that come together, and they're looking at removing, without getting a vote on us, asking our permission. They're just going to enslave us one nation at a time. I think Australia is right now in that mass desperation where I think Australia will be the first country to go cashless. And then I think Australia will be the first country to go with negative rates. And I think Australia will be the first country to go into, because they're in this very high debt devastation and the middle class is completely crippled. It's phenomenally crippled. And they need to create this whole crypto whatever system, so it's easier to price fix, and it's easier to win a currency war, and the super committees are always going to win the vote. So price fixing is going to be so easy, Steve, with crypto.
I hear you.
So that's why they're going to be looking at negative rates. And they're just going to confiscate the middle class's money and to basically protect the bankers. And basically, they're just going to be creating their own rule books. And these are the super committees, Steve. Super committees of people that you've never heard of, that you've never voted in, and that you have no idea who they are if you walk by them on the street. But they are choosing your fate on what happens to your future, your wealth, and your investing.
Kind of crazy when you think about it.
So, social credit score is coming into Australia. They already have it in Darwin, Australia. So your social credit score, basically, Steve, if you jaywalk or if you come on my show, you'll be deemed as a potential hazard to society, and you can't fly a plane anymore. It's happening all over China. So, there's 23 million people were disallowed on a train in China in the last 2 years because they have a bad score.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you can look it up. I brought it up on one of the Mike in the Nights. They were disallowed to get on a plane, train, or use, what was the other thing? There was one more thing they couldn't. It was 23 million people were disallowed. And I think 8 million people were disallowed bank loans because of their social credit score.
Wow.
So,
can you hear me okay, Mike?
of course I can.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Mike? It's one of those things where I think we need to keep an eye on this, and the more and more we talk about it, the more and more educated we get about it. But bottom line truly is, I just don't think we as the Canadian proper have have any control over the situation.
We don't. The problem is we don't have a party that's actually going to represent we don't have a party that's going to actually represent the Canadian proper, the actual Canadian, the people that want to be here and actually contribute to the infrastructure. The people, I don't care where they're from. They could be from Africa, they could be from Russia, they could be from Cambodia, Portugal. I don't care, because Canada's made up of immigrants that came here to make that difference, right? To make Canada what it is today, right? And it was everybody that made that. And I'm not picking out on anybody or trying to, yeah. Someone said they've forgotten Canadians. Yeah. Forgotten Canadians.
That's crazy. Oh well. Anyways, Mike, I got to get going here, pal. It's getting late. I'll let you go. I'll let somebody else call in. I will continue to listen to the show, but it was so good to be with you, and we'll talk real soon.
See if you can come on Mike of the Night this Saturday, okay? Because we want to talk about. First, we're going to talk about what happened to the Raven, and then we're going to talk about, after that, we're going to talk about maybe. I really want to talk about where we're going to go. Where does a Canadian go? We're going to do some research and find out where Canadians could go when we can't afford to live in our own country. Who would take us in?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look forward to that. I mean, hopefully the Ravens not too preoccupied. I rumor has it his ex-girlfriend's in town, and or over at his house, or she's over there or whatnot. I hope hopefully he's alive and well come Saturday, because he might be tied up as we speak, literally.
Yeah. Okay, Stevie. Stay out of jail, okay?
Yeah. Take care, Mike.
Take care,
Thanks. Bye.
Alrighty then. It looks like they're cutting me off, guys. It's like I'm getting no internet signal here. Here it is, going back. I'm getting no internet signal here. Here it goes. It's back. So that was Steve the Plumber. Guys, don't forget to join me Saturday night for Mike in the Night. Yes. Negative rates coming. Woo! Pay piggies. Woo! Watching Mike Martins. Guys, you don't want to see what you could buy for around 300 grand in Alabama. Because if you guys see this, especially if you live in a 500 square foot apartment in Toronto and you paid 500,000 Canadian and you could buy this. Yeah, you don't want to see this, because this is worse than a pornographic film. Okay, guys, don't forget to follow my channel online here. Please subscribe to my channel. I need you to share one of my videos. That's all I ask, is share one of my videos. And if you want to support this transmission, go ahead and support me on Patreon. I'm on Patreon, and I already have 16 Patreon members that are donating $1 a month. Some are donating a bit more. If you could sacrifice $1 a month for this transmission, it adds up. All the money goes to this. New microphone, new video card. I want to buy a new green screen. Well, I don't have a green screen now. This is my office, but I want to get other stuff, right? And everything that does come in is all to the transmission and coffee to keep the transmission going, right? You got to grease the wheels. And if you could support me on Patreon, I appreciate it. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm going to give you my Instagram in the chat there. I am going to give you my Instagram. I was telling Gary the other day, we're all going to go back to Portugal one day. All of us are going to go back to Portugal. All the Portuguese, we're all going to go back. We'll take our country back. We'll take Portugal back. I was telling that to Gary Medeiros the other day. He's like, yeah, Mike, what do you think is going to happen? And I'm like, well, you know what, Gary? I think we're all going to be in Portugal again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, subscribe to the Handheld Junkies channel, guys. That's my other channel there. If you guys want to support me, it's not a bad channel. You do not have to actually ring the bell to get notifications. I actually don't recommend you to, because I do a video a week, and this is my fun channel. So in case I do get taken off YouTube, they probably won't take down my video game channel. Please subscribe to that if you haven't yet. No, not all my videos are monetized, unfortunately. No. Like only 30% are. Yeah. Oh, don't forget to check me out on the Dirty, guys. I'm at 107 comments. I got more comments on the Dirty than the Kardashians do. I'm not joking. And don't forget to, that's it. Yeah. Timeshare house in the Azores. Sign up with Mike Martins, the investor. No timeshares. I don't believe in that crap. Okay, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate your support and your oh yeah, tipping in my tip jar. I want to thank that other gentleman that sent me a tip in the tip jar. Anyways, that's it. Good night. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Morning Coffee with Mike.